President Joseph, thank you kindly for those remarks and for welcoming us here in the palace. Thank you on behalf of France. And on behalf of France, I am happy to be here at long last. I'm happy to be here, and it comes with great joy because it was some 4 years ago that I last came here. 4 years ago, just in the wake of the explosion in the port of Beirut, 4 years during which France has stood by Lebanon's side during times of hardship. 4 years during which we have forgotten nothing or no one. Just a few moments ago, I was out meeting with French Lebanese men and women who are still calling for justice and still mourning the lost loved ones. So thank you for the kind message. It's good to hear that Lebanon is a country that continues to resist, and you embody the hope of the nation. Mr. President, having you take a position as president of this nation on the 9th of January, you put an end to 2 years of having a vacant seat at the head of the state. And then on the 13th of January, you have Mr. Nawaf Salam taking over the chairmanship of the Council of Ministers, and these two decisions put Lebanon back on the right track of getting on its own 2 feet. And here in the cold of winter, we see the warmth of spring arrive. You are that warmth of spring, that hope. And with the appointed Prime Minister, that message is only all too clear. France has stood by the side of its beloved Lebanon for 2 long years, but it is so joyful to see you here today, embarking upon this new path forward. What you embody is something fundamentally true, that there is a desire to head down a new path. I know how you have a steely determination, and I know that there will be people who will try and stand up against you and use the moving sands of the political landscape to change things. But it is now the time of truth for the Parliament, a new era, an era of change, where the way politicians are going to act is going to have to change and serve the greater interest. And I will continue to act. And while we often act alone, we will continue to support you as we have done so over the past few years. Ever since 2020, we have mobilized the international community to help you rebuild. I've seen fantastic work done by so many non-governmental organizations. Lebanese men and women who have found ways to rebuild and resist. Over these past few months, we have reached out again to the national community once again, with the return of war on Lebanese soil, with the drastic bombings that have taken place. And we have provided humanitarian aid and military aid for the Lebanese forces. So yes, we will continue to support you. We support your aim to have a sovereign nation, a state that can exert its sovereign power across its territory, across its lands. Because that is the fundamental question. It is the condition to protect Lebanon from external interference. It is a condition to ensure a ceasefire with Israel. The ceasefire agreement, and I'm sure we are all aware of it here today, was brought forward by President Biden, and it is a way of bringing an end to the endless suffering that has caused civilian lives on both sides of the border. Some 1.3 million displaced persons and 4,000 dead. This is a ceasefire which will help us save lives. The Oversight Committee, mechanism that France is going to be putting in place, is a way of upholding promises made by Lebanese and Israeli authorities as part of these agreements. I, this morning, met with the American cabinet and the French cabinet to take stock of the situation. And work needs to continue to push forward. In the long term, we need to have the full withdrawal of Israeli forces, and we need to break the overall monopoly on Lebanese weapons. So this is why the French and Lebanese forces have been deployed in the south of the country, and the armed Lebanese forces are a pillar of the country's stability, and we have to continue to further recruit. We need to continue seeking international aid in terms of equipment and materials, and we know in France that our friends, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and other countries in the region are ready to do more. And I am looking forward to doing more. We are doing much bilaterally with a new training center, with 500 Lebanese soldiers receiving training there. And we are also part of the Technical Military Committee that will continue to operate. The European Union is also going to increase its efforts to provide security forces or assistance for the security forces with some million of euros being put on the table in 2025. Certain efforts are coming through in terms of providing troops and assistance to Lebanon, and France is continuing to play an active role in that, with some 80 additional forces or soldiers being added to the some 750 French soldiers already on Lebanese soil. And I here today want to once again celebrate the work being done by FINUL, with the fantastic work done by the Resolution 171. But our work does not stop there. We're going to continue to ensure the laying down of the blue demarcation line for a long-term stability for all. Sovereignty is not just a matter for the south of Lebanon. You spoke of the importance to keep the other borders in check. You set this down as a key objective, the monopoly of weapons across all soil as being an issue for national defense. That project is the only possible way forward. The only possible way to ensure that disorder and chaos does not come back to the country. This is what we said at the International Conference on the 24th of October last year in Paris, and we will continue to support you in the long term on these matters. But we also need to see a prosperous Lebanon, one that benefits all. And that is our following commitment to ensure that you have a government put in place rapidly. And we know that all the political forces are going to have to take on the responsibility as we move forward, and be meeting soon with the Prime Minister and the Speaker of the House to ensure that they will continue to try and find solutions. The time of humanitarian emergency aid is still upon us. The 24th of October in Paris, we took on a number of commitments, and we will continue to come true on them by providing assistance for those people affected by war. More than 2/3 of donations have already been paid out to the some $100 million that were promised. France has already put in place 83 million euros, and we will continue to provide 100 on top of the 100 tons of aid that we have already provided. But the international community needs to keep on providing mass support to Lebanon to help it rebuild its infrastructure, to build houses that have been destroyed by the war, in particular in the south of the country, for the 1 million displaced Lebanese people so that they can come home and find their home, because their homes have been turned to ash. So, Mr. President, when you come to Paris in a few weeks, we will organize an international conference for the reconstruction of Lebanon. France will remain by your side, as will Europe, as will the entire region of friendly nations. And I will ensure that the political framework remain clear. The way in which this aid and assistance will be distributed will be done so to ensure clear governance, transparent governance, and done so in a way that it truly serves the people in the communities. But beyond reconstruction, there is also necessary reform that I'm sure you believe in and will carry forward. Reform of the justice sector, the banking reform, the fight against corruption, The list goes on. But this is what I'm sure your government will bring to the fore, and it is an essential part of the reconstruction of your nation, and France, again, will be by your side to assist you in that. I know that you have selected the right people to see those tasks completed. But what we see is a Lebanon united in its difference. It reminds me of General Charles de Gaulle, of a vision of France where citizenship was much more than whatever group you belong to. The true belonging was that of a republic that was there to defend them and protect them. And that is a promise of pluralism, one where all communities, all religions have their rightful place. But behind that facade of pluralism, there is this notion that you have to serve a unity, a unified nation, where that is one that is bigger than the individual communities that it is made up of. And it is through that unity, through pluralism, that you will find a future. And you embody that promise. And that is why I've always thought that your country is far bigger than its borders. Because despite the dark times, the hardships that you mentioned in your opening remarks, there is hope in the region. Lebanon is a promise that there is another way forward aside from cutting yourself off behind the facade of religion. And this is the hope that you carry, that you embody, that you defend. So it is my wish that the reform that you wish to bring in place, that your policies that you are going to bring in place fall in line with that key principle. What I want to do here today, above all else, is to thank you and congratulate you. To thank those who elected you, to pay homage to the people of Lebanon, to pay homage to the thousands of victims that have been caused by the war. I would like to pay special homage to the amazing sense of solidarity that I've seen within the Lebanese people to support all those displaced persons. It's to pay tribute to all of those men and women who have been suffering for so many years. To them, there is hope because you are here. And in these hard times, we too will be here. Thank you very much.